Hey y'all, so welcome to the first episode of Boss Up Hustler podcast. So I'm going to start this episode with just kind of introducing who I am, really what this podcast how it came about, the purpose of it, and then we're going to dive right into the first episode. So I am your host, Naraya. Just to give you a little bit of background about who I am. So I am a Christian, um, but really, if you're like me, God is giving you some big dreams, some big goals, some things that you want to build, some things you want to create, some things that you want to do in this earth, some communities you want to impact. And if you are like me, many times when you have these big dreams and you have these big goals, sometimes we can find ourselves in places where we might not have the right ecosystem that enables us to be able to birth out those dreams and those visions. So Boss Up Hustler podcast really was kind of birthed from really kind of what I was going through, and then also too what I know so many other people may have too. My purpose of creating Boss Up Hustler podcast is really to give you the tools and the resources to kind of help you fulfill those dreams and aspirations. Because, like I said, many of us have it. We have the dreams. We want to achieve these big goals. We want to do these things that are going to leave a footprint on the world. But for many of us, we don't have the right, proper ecosystem that allows us to be able to do that. We don't have the right knowledge. Maybe we don't even have the right people. So if you guys see me looking down, it is because I'm looking at my notes because I don't want to forget to tell you guys anything. But one of the differences with me is that the way that this podcast is going to run is that we are going to reach our dreams and our goals. We're going to reach and birth out those visions that God has given us, but we're going to do it His way. And the reason why I emphasize His way and through His word is because for many of us, we're kind of just tired of trying this and that and doing this, that, and the third, and it's just not working. And what I want to talk about too with God's way of birthing out dreams, living out legacies, and things like that, it's highly centered on you developing. It's highly centered on you as an individual evolving. His blueprint to the manifestation of our dreams is basically focused on evolving thyself. So, Boss Up Hustler podcast is really going to focus on you developing you and you becoming the best you that you can possibly be. I am of the belief, and I've seen just in life, right? I'm still very young, but I'm a person that observes a lot. I'm a person that really takes notes and really tries to um, see what lessons that I can learn, whether that be through other people or even patterns I've seen in life. And one thing that I've noticed, especially about God, is that yes, He puts those dreams and those visions in our heart, but the main thing is we have to become a better person. We have to become a better us, a new us, to be able to obtain it. The dreams, the goals, all of these things are achievable, but the only how you're going to obtain it is if you go after it and if you become something different. So that's really kind of the background of Boss Up Hustler podcast. Um, One of the things too that I also wanted to touch bases on is that on this podcast and through these episodes, like this podcast is not just for Christians, it's for anybody. But what I do want to kind of debunk and kind of change your perspective on is that many of us, we approach the Bible like, and I know I did when I was younger too, approach the Bible as like just being a spiritual book. So, in other words, we only go to it for our spiritual needs. But what God has shown me over the years is that no, His book is like a library. Y'all know when you go to a library that you have books on everything. You have books on science. You have books on relationships. You have books on finances. And the Bible is like a library. So any subject you want to know about, there's wisdom, there's guidance on it. So many times we haven't had this perspective, so we don't run to the Bible for the solutions to our problems. We don't run to the Bible to see what is God's way of basically turning our dreams and our goals and our visions into reality. We many times will go to the outside world, and that's okay, right? Because I do it. I'll do the Bible and I'll read certain secular books. But the point of it is that you want to start with him as your source. And so that's going to be a part of this podcast too, just kind of changing your thinking on how you see God and how you see his wisdom, and ultimately um, your perspective on life, your perspective on achieving dreams and goals. This podcast really is for those youth who have dreams and goals, but they're surrounded by violence, chaos, poverty, but they want to get out, but they don't know how. They don't have the right people, they don't have the right resources. Sometimes it's just not having the motivation to do it. You need somebody who you feel like is a life partner or a life coach that's going to be with you side by side, helping you build brick by brick. And that is really the purpose of Boss Up Hustler podcast. So, the way the episodes are going to run now, every episode you guys are gonna see like rule one, rule two, but really it's not. I don't want you to look at it like a rule book, right? But it's really the rules really kind of represent certain understandings and certain truths that give you kind of a different understanding about life. These truths are supposed to kind of widen your perspective on the way you see yourself, the way you see life. Um, and then the point of it is also too, once you get these understandings and once we change our perspective on certain things, is you're supposed to use these truths and these understandings to help you reign and dominate in life. So that is kind of how the episodes are going to run. So, like, for example, I'll give you a sneak peek. Like, this is kind of the intro episode, but like the first episode that I'm thinking about is going to say something like rule one, life is what you make it, right? So, it's going to follow the same trend of you basically starting with the rule, but it's really a truth and an understanding. And in every episode, I'm going to break down what this truth means, what it looks like, and how you apply it to your life. So now we're going to get into really just what the meaning of Boss Up Hustler means, right? So I know if you saw the title of Boss Up Hustler, you're like, what the heck? Like some people might have certain ideas and images as to what a hustler is or what it means to boss up. But in this episode, I really want to just lay the framework of what boss up means and what a hustler means. The reason why is because this is going to set the tone for every other podcast. This is going to also help you identify if this podcast is for you or if it's for you or if it isn't for you. So give me 1 second, y'all. All right. So we're gonna first start with what does boss up mean? And also to y'all, like with these podcasts, this is really like a kind of a heart to heart. This is just like let's just have a real conversation because I understand what it's like to be a dreamer. I understand what it's like to be a visionary. I understand what it's like to have big dreams and big goals. So in this podcast, I want y'all to see it like we just having a conversation, but it's almost like a pep talk. Like see me as kind of like I'm just thinking about sports, right? If you're in a huddle and your coach is right there and your coach is trying to give you a pep talk to help you to get back into the game and to be refueled, right? So think of it like that. So as I'm teaching y'all, God is teaching me. As I'm helping y'all, God is helping me through the information that I'm sharing to y'all as well. So, first definition, what does it mean to boss up, right? So, the first definition that I want you guys to kind of think about when it comes to bossing up, it means taking control of your life and seizing success. Again, the first definition is taking control of your life and seizing success. When I'm thinking about bossing up, is for us, for us dreamers, when it comes to our success, we have to be willing to succeed no matter the cost and no matter, and by all means necessary. It means that you're not waiting for permission. You're not waiting for the right opportunity. You're not waiting for the right things to fall in place. In your heart of heart, you know that you deserve X, Y, and Z. In your heart of heart, you know that this dream and this vision is possible and it's achievable because God has already basically showed you that it's achievable. So you're not waiting. You're going after it. You're seizing it. That's what it means to boss up. We're not pointing the finger. We're not blaming people. We're not in that victim pity party mindset. We are looking at ourselves and we're saying, you know what? My life is in my hands. And God has put every human being in position to really steer their life whichever direction they wanted to go in. You have the authority. Number two, bossing up is also about mastery. It's about dominating life. I think we see it kind of a little bit in kind of in culture where you see people kind of leveling up in their finances, right? So learning how to really get a hold on finances, and you see later on that they've accumulated wealth. So bossing up is about having mastery over life. It's about no longer are we going through life with the lack of knowledge. No longer are we going through life with the little bit of information that we know. We are people who are open minded. We understand that the information that we know is not enough to get to the level we want to get to. So we are about mastering life. We are about learning, and we're also about applying. We're about getting the understandings that maybe other people might be too busy in life to really understand. We're people who take a step back. We're observers. We look at life and we observe. We take lessons and we learn it. Number three, bossing up is also saying, you know what? And I kind of just touched on this too, but it's about evolving your mindset. It's about saying, I'm going to evolve so that everything around me evolves. Again, like I said, it's not about being a victim. It's also not about um, really saying, like, you know, hey, I don't have X, Y, and Z education. It's saying, with God, all things are possible. It's saying, you know, maybe I don't have this, that, and the third. But like I said, with God, all things are possible. It's seeing who might have been in your situation, but was able to achieve certain things. So that's another definition of what it means to boss up. It also means transforming from the inside out, right? So it's becoming something new. I think a lot of times, and we're kind of getting back to it, but in the beginning phases of like pop culture and stuff, we kind of look at like the outside, we look at the material, things that a person may have, but we never look at how we can change and evolve from the inside out. So bossing up is not about, oh, just accumulating flashy things and materialistic things. No, bossing up is about changing your mindset. Bossing up is about changing and becoming a better you. And so that's my first definition. Those are my definitions about boss up so that you know going forward what we're talking about in these episodes. Now, to my favorite part, we're going to talk about what a hustler is, right? So I know, like, even when I was kind of writing it down, my mind, when I was thinking about hustler, I don't know, I was thinking about like, y'all know, like when you see on TV, like kind of the people that um, be kind of on the streets, you know, they real good with their money, but they kind of be into like shady business. Yeah, we're not talking about that, right? So a hustler to me is a go-getter. A hustler to me is an ambitious person. A hustler to me is a person who is willing to succeed no matter what. A hustler to me is a person who also might have experienced failures, setbacks, and defeats, but still rises again. It still has the courage and the fight and the grit and the will to pursue whatever dream God has put in their heart. A hustler says, I'm not waiting for anybody to tell me what's possible. I'm not waiting for y'all to tell me what I can and cannot do. I'm going to create this lane. So a hustler also is many times a trailblazer. They don't wait to see, okay, you know, if this has been done before. A lot of times hustlers are like, well, I've never seen it done before, but I'm going to create it. I'm the one that's going to do it. I'm the one that's going to build it. Hustlers take initiative, and they take initiative over their own lives, and their own mindsets. And then that is pretty much, you know, like I said, it's an ambitious person, a person who's willing to succeed, and a person who's willing to fight for it. Maybe one of these podcast episodes, I'll kind of tell you guys about my journey and how I had to basically bounce back from many failures and many setbacks. Um, but many times, and I'm gonna be completely honest with y'all, it seems like when it comes to dreamers and people who are really sent on this earth to really, you know, build out these amazing things and change generations and legacies and heritages, a lot of times it seems like we're wired a certain way. Like for me, I was wired to be ambitious. I was wired to kind of just be a go getter. Like I'm naturally like that. And so this podcast is for those who know they want more out of life. They know and they have a vision of themselves being in a better place, being in or achieving greater heights that's different from whether, what their current circumstances might be. So, this concludes the first episode of Boss Up Hustle podcast, but I don't want you to tune out. I do have kind of like a homework kind of thing, or I would say like it's more like a self reflection thing. So these are two questions that I want you to, in between, before I post the next episode, I want you to kind of sit with yourself and really just think about, and you can write it down or write it on your phone and just think about it, right? But it's going to be very important as we are trying to, you know, move forward in our path and trying to build these dreams. So the first question is, what will bossing up help you achieve? So I already gave you the definition, but what will bossing up help you achieve? The purpose of this question is I want you guys to be very clear on your why. I want you to be very clear on why you do what you do. Why are you so ambitious? What is bossing up going to help you achieve? It's going to, in answering this question, is going to give you, basically help you do two things. The first thing is going to give you a vision of where you want to be in life. So you always have that image in your mind, no matter what happens around you, no matter what happens in life. Number two, having a clear why also kind of helps you withstand when negative circumstances happen, when things don't go your way. It's the engine that keeps you going. It's the engine that keeps you pulling and fighting towards those dreams and those visions. And it's also what helps you stay in the game when you got to wait your turn, right? So we're going to talk about that. But in this process of building dreams and aspirations, you are going to have to learn how to wait your turn, right? It ain't going to come quick like how you might see it on social media or how our minds might think. You're going to have to be patient and be willing to put in the work and be willing to go through the process to get to your mountaintop. Number two, what areas of your life do you want to boss up in? Now, the whole point of this question too is we want to be, when it comes to this, you want to be intentional about applying the information, right? We don't want to just sit here and listen and take in a whole bunch of information and we're not doing nothing with it. The point of this podcast is to be kind of like your torch, is to really help you have the strength and the energy to do what you need to do to obtain your dreams and your goals and to birth out those visions God has given you. So it says, what areas of your life do you want to boss up in? Write that down and make sure that it's very clear. What areas of your life you want to boss up in? And the reason why you want to do this is so that when you're listening to my podcast, you are very, it's going to help you be very intentional about how you hear. That is another thing we'll talk about. But when you kind of have an idea of, okay, these are the areas of my life that I want to improve in, you're able to listen more. You're able to listen from a better way or from a better, with a better perspective. And so, yeah, those are the two questions. Again, I wanted to say thank you so, so much for tuning into my first episode of Boss Up Hustler podcast. Remember to do your reflection questions. And I will see you guys soon. You will see on the channel banner when I'll start dropping episodes, but please do expect one every single week. So yeah,